Ghostbusters is the remake of the original film from 1984, and it's directed by Paul Feig, and it stars Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, Kate McKinnon, and Chris Hemsworth. And this movie is about a group of paranormal enthusiasts who live in a ghost-infested New York City, and they start a business in which they get rid of and trap ghosts all across the area. Basically identical to the plot of the first movie, but what are you gonna do? It's a remake. So before I get into this review, I want to address the absurd amount of hatred that's going into this movie. The first trailer we got for this movie was released on March 3rd, and it quickly became the most disliked movie trailer in the history of YouTube. Since then, we've gotten all kinds of videos uploaded by fairly popular YouTubers just spouting off about how much they hate this movie. And also, if you look at the comments on this trailer, all you'll see is people saying, "This movie sucks, don't go see it, it's awful, it's a disgrace to film, don't waste your time and your money." Now, all of this would be completely fine if these people who are doing this had actually seen the movie. If you go see a movie that sucks and you want to rant about it on the internet, go ahead. Isn't that what the internet's for? But if you literally have not watched the film, what right do you then have to say that the movie sucks? You haven't seen the film, and by the way, films are hard to make. So this movie has just been bombarded with negative energy since we got that first trailer. But what I just can't believe is how ignorant people are being about this film. Paul Feig is the director, and he's made some really well-renowned comedies like Spy, Bridesmaids, The Heat, and so on. So this is all I have to say about this. Please, do not judge a book by its cover. In this case, a movie. If you have not seen the film, don't go and say it sucks on the internet if you have not watched it with your own eyes. Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way. Now let's talk about this movie. In terms of the first Ghostbusters film, I actually like it quite a lot. I think it's one of the best summer blockbusters of all time. It has some really great characters, it's really fun, and I actually had the really cool experience of seeing this for the first time in my local movie theater, which was amazing. So what's the verdict on this film? It's definitely not as bad as the trailers and the marketing campaign made it look. I do not think it's worth any of the hate it's been getting, but it's also not that good. Let's talk about the cast, because I am actually a huge fan of all the women in this movie. Kristen Wiig is one of my favorite Saturday Night Live cast members of all time. When she was in her last season, I thought she was the funniest person on the entire show. I also really enjoy Kate McKinnon's comedy. She joined SNL fairly recently, and I think she's improved immensely since she first started. I also think Melissa McCarthy is very talented. She's a very funny woman, and the thing about Leslie Jones is that she's incredibly funny when she's not screaming all the time. Sometimes she can be very one-dimensional, and with some of the characters she plays, she just yells a lot, which can get really annoying, but other than that, she's really funny. I think she's really talented. But sadly in this film, all of the actresses play very one-dimensional characters. The best thing that I can say about this group of people is that they have enough charisma and energy to keep this movie going and to keep it rolling, but they just play incredibly boring one-dimensional characters, and I didn't really care about them. Don't get me wrong, because this film actually does have some small attempts at character development, but in the end, I just felt like it didn't work. Think about the first Ghostbusters film. Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Harold Ramis made that movie what it is because they were so fun to watch and their personalities were all incredibly different from each other. Those characters were really well written and their dialogue was so perfect, but I think that's what this movie suffers from. Kristen Wiig kind of just played herself this whole movie, and now that I think about it, I don't remember one time during this film where her character even made me laugh. And that's kind of sad. Kate McKinnon kind of played a crazy person in this movie, and she has a few good moments in this film. Like there's this one scene where she's dancing and she has blowtorches in her hand, and I thought that was really funny. But this film kind of treats her like a creepy pet, if you know what I mean. If you see the movie, then you'll understand what I mean, and she was just kind of a weird character. Melissa McCarthy just didn't feel like Melissa McCarthy to me in this film. If you've ever seen her movies, then you know she has a very distinct sense of comedy. She's always kind of loud and invasive of the people around her in some of her films, and I kind of feel like Paul Feig didn't really utilize her talent in this movie. Leslie Jones in this movie. Like I said, Leslie Jones is pretty annoying when she's doing the whole yelling, screaming, stereotypical black woman act, and I'm happy to say that she did not do that in this movie, but unfortunately her character was just really bland like all the rest of these characters, and I just didn't care about her. To be honest, this next thing I really did not expect at all. Chris Hemsworth was probably the funniest thing about this entire movie. I think he was my favorite character. He plays the receptionist in this film, and I think he actually improved upon the receptionist in the first movie because he has more screen time and he's able to do more things, and he made me laugh more than her in the first film. Going back to the female characters in this film, I think the reason that they just didn't work for me was because of this script. It's just not that funny. There were about 2 or 3 times in this entire movie where I laughed, and even when I did, it was like a little chuckle, like, And there's several moments in this film where you can tell they were trying to be funny, and it just doesn't work, and it comes off as they were trying too hard, and the rest of my theater even didn't really laugh. And there also gets to a point after like the middle of this movie where the script just feels like it has no idea where it's trying to go, and the story gets really muffled. Also, This movie is chock full of cameos and Easter eggs and references and all of that kind of stuff to the original Ghostbusters film, and they just got so obnoxious. Every time this film starts to pick up the pace a little bit, it just gets watered down by these random, out-of-place appearances from actors from the first movie, and also these callbacks to the original, like Slimer or the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and it just got on my nerves so much. Other than to reference the original Ghostbusters, this film just has no idea how to incorporate all these things it wants to from the first movie, and that was really upsetting. So putting the script aside for this movie, I want to talk about something that I don't think enough critics or movie reviewers are talking about lately. The villain in this movie is so bad. There was nothing more to him than being a diabolical, over-the-top cartoon character with some of the dumbest character motivations I have seen in film all year. Let me give you an example. He would just walk around in this movie and be like, "Very well, Ghostbusters. Have your fun. Because I'm going to take over the world." I am a movie character! Guys, I'm probably coming off as hating this film, I can tell. But there are some things I enjoyed. I think all of these women have enough charisma and energy to keep this movie going and keep it at a fast pace. And the finale sequence of this film, I'm not gonna lie, I had a ton of fun with it. I think from the beginning of the third act to the end of this film, you can kind of just turn your brain off and sit and have a good time. But I can't gloss over the fact that this is just the original Ghostbusters 2016ified with incredibly one-dimensional generic characters, a cartoony villain, and a script that's just not that funny. But don't get me wrong, this movie deserves absolutely none of the hate that it's getting. It is not one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's not an atrocity to film as an art form, but it's also nothing remarkable, and it just contributes to the string of unoriginal films in 2016. I'm gonna give Ghostbusters a 6.1 out of 10. Guys, I really need a good movie right now. It's kind of depressing. Nothing's original anymore. Maybe I'll go see Swiss Army Man. So guys, have you seen the new Ghostbusters film? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Until next time, I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.